Hello, termites. It's night 80. How exciting is that? Why do I think of 80 in Noah's Ark? Was he sailing for 80 days? I don't know. I'm Catholic. We haven't read the Bible. Anyway, look what we're drinking. It's George Clooney's Casamigos Mezcal. Now, how would I say that in the Midwest? Casa Amigos Mezcal. That's how we would say it. I know he's trying to be cool with this bottle, but I don't like it. It feels like concrete. Somebody gave that to me, though. And I just made it into a little skinny margarita. Delicious. Oh my God, it's so good. Wow, a little tart. The skinny margaritas are a little tart because they don't have as much sweetness, therefore not as many calories. Also, Madigan's Pubcast should be out there right now. Get it wherever you get Pubcast, or you can just see it on here if you want to watch it on the YouTube machine. That's fun, right? It's just more of me talking because I have no one to talk to. Termites, it's me and you. I know a lot of you guys don't have anybody to talk to too, so we can meet here. Right now, we're in the middle of Tanya being in rehab. She hasn't mentioned how old she is here, and I joke around and say she was 9. Oh wait, I think it's coming up. I really meant that. I did not read ahead. She said this is where we left off too. Maybe I subconsciously saw that. I don't know. I was 29 years old. Most of my roommates, this is in rehab at Betty Ford, were much younger. I felt close to them. It's so different for young girls. It's so different for young girls who get into bad habits. They can't think past the next boyfriend. What? At least I had a career to look forward to, and that's what kept me going. One night, a couple of girls were talking, and one said she just didn't see how she could survive if her boyfriend didn't really love her. You ought to quit worrying about boyfriends and start worrying about yourself, was my advice, because I'm here to tell you, men are going to come and go in this life, but you're going to have to live with yourself forever. No shit. The girls listened, but I always felt like I related to their problems better than they related to my answers. I knew firsthand that counting on a man to make your happiness doesn't work for you, especially if it's Glenn Campbell. He's probably not going to make you happy. I think we learned that, especially if he been a drinking. In many ways, the younger girls in the swamp had the same problem as the Washington wives. Men dominated their lives, and not always good men. One of the worst times for me was at the hot seat part of the group sessions when people got to ask you anything they wanted and you had to answer. Yeah, but you could just make shit up because you're Denise. You're not even yourself. Hold on that. I'm surprised you didn't go down that road. One of the things that got your rear up there in a minute was starting to cry, and you can bet I didn't do that. I might have liked the edge, but I dreaded the hot seat. Actually, it's pretty funny when they called me up one day. Everybody looked at me, and I waited for whatever horrible and personal question someone would ask me. This one woman shot up her hand, and the counselor called on her. She looked real intense, and I thought, oh, Lord, here it comes. What's it like to know Don Johnson? She inquired. Well, I knew him. It meant having to fill his Volkswagen. I knew him. This doesn't even make sense. Well, when I knew, yes, it does. And I'm not even drunk. When I knew him, it meant having to fill his Volkswagen with gas because he was mostly an out-of-work actor. But I didn't say that. I said he was a nice guy. What's it like to be up on stage all the time? Okay, this is not what the hot seat was meant for. And there's clearly nobody in charge here going, let's reel in the celebrity questions for fake Denise and Ixnay on the famous things. What's it like to be up on stage all the time? Before I could even think of an answer, one of the counselors turned to another staff member and asked, what's this sound like to you? Merv Griffin, the other guy answered. Huh, exactly. Meaning the talk show, if you're a younger termite. Merv Griffin was a man I used to watch with my grandma in the kitchen while she smoked cigarettes. And we'd sit there and play cards, solitaire, and smoke cigarettes and watch Merv Griffin. I was really young, though. I barely remember him. But anyway, it was a talk show. That sort of threw a cog in the works of that session. Who'd have thought that Don and concerts would get me off the hot seat? Ha ha! During my stay, I was on the hot seat several times, but I wasn't one of the ones who ever really said anything. And since I quickly figured out the fastest way to get up there was to cry or run your mouth, I zipped my lip and kept my emotions in check at most sessions. In some ways, the counselor wasn't thinking straight. When he shut down the questions about performing, maybe we were on the track of something, because I've been on stage my whole life, and being on stage has affected me. I know this. It's very hard to have thousands of people screaming for you and then go back to your hotel room alone. I've never had a problem with that. No, you know why? Because you know what's on in the hotel? The ID channel now, Investigative Discovery. I got Evil Ken. Sometimes the show interrupts one of those, and I'm like, God damn it, this one's really good. Evil Ken, the Swamp Murder one, Fear Thy Neighbor. You watch that one? That'll really make you think twice before you buy a house. You will go door to door and interview each neighbor extensively. I never even thought about that shit. I think that's why I'm always looking for a party after a show. I'm almost incapable of spilling my guts to somebody who's watching me like a hawk and wanting me to break down. Maybe if the staff hadn't kept saying things like, quit fighting us, or you have to surrender, I would have felt more at ease. I get it. She just thought she was out having a good time. I don't even think she thought, in reverse, that any of it was that bad. I didn't really moon the guy, I just flashed him. So if you don't really think you hit a rock bottom, you're probably not gonna, you could just go along with this for 30 days and leave, which I bet is what she does. I would have felt more at ease. Another thing that made me crazy was all the talk about feelings this and feelings that. Hell, I didn't even like the song. Get it? Remember the song Feelings? They also kept after me about the reasons I'd done drugs and drank. No one would accept the fact that I'd had a happy childhood. That's so great. Well, what's wrong with your childhood? Nothing. I love Daddy. They just bought me a Mercedes. Come on. They kept trying to get me to say I'd been abused or somebody raped me somewhere down the line. I told them I did the things I mainly did because I like to party. Sometimes it's just that simple. She likes a good time. People do drugs either to get an edge on or get rid of one, and I've done both. They didn't buy it. I shut down, evaded questions, bided my time. So as the weeks crawled by, the staff became convinced that none of the classes or therapy sessions or meetings were working. They were only half right because the classes and sessions were not in vain. I learned about the physical effects of drugs and it scared me. For the first time, I'd heard how dangerous chemical substance abuse is. I don't think I had a serious problem, so I didn't relate to most of what they said. Call it denial if you want. Maybe it was. But I did start to think about the effects drug and alcohol had on my body. That could make me feel like they could make me feel like I was having a good time, but they could also make me depress the hell out of me. On one hand, I did not think that Betty Ford was the answer. I was there to please my mother and my dad, not because I felt I should be in rehab. That's been clearly established. After 3 weeks or so, the counselors decided I wasn't ready to be released. Oh no! What? Come on, Denise wants to get the fuck out of here. Oh God, and she did it. If I would have made it 3 weeks and then they go, I don't think it's time to leave. Come on. I just kept telling myself, I didn't like it, but I agreed. I just kept telling myself I had to prove I could stick it out. I didn't want the tabloids calling me a Betty Ford dropout. Counselors, they were always very concerned about my plans to sing at the ACM Awards. They believe that you should stay away from your old environment, the one where you had done drugs for about a year. Yeah, but that's not the same thing. What is she like? We've learned a club. Why? Triggers a party. Fair? No, it doesn't, because that's a family deal. This is a television program. That does not necessarily trigger party. That's like a serious gig. She gets her extensions in, get your eyes made up. Ruby, take your love to town. God damn, these people are militant. They believe you should stay away from your old environment, the one where you had done drugs for about a year. A year! She's going to not work for a year? They tell you, well, how's Daddy going to get a better ranch? What about a couple more ponies? You know she's got horses. Who's going to feed them? Oh, here you go. They tell you if you don't want to slip, don't go around slippery places. Oh my God. I didn't see how I could do that and make a living. Exactly. March 16th was the big day. I would get out of jail and go to the ACM. Since I was cutting it close, I called Shirley Porter and asked me to bring me a dress. Then I phoned Tovar, that's the hair guy, fancy hair man, and told him, I think my haircut looks pretty good for nothing, for free, with eyebrow scissors. It's a little long on top. I haven't colored it either. I guess I should get on that. Not before I checked out, I learned something about my first impressions from the girls in the swamp. By this time, everyone knew who I was. Well, of course, she probably already sang Delta Dawn 75 times in the cafeteria. Who's kidding who? By the time everyone knew I was, and I was one of the girls in the swamp, and brought a tape player in, and one of my tapes, which we sometimes played a lot. Now they're playing her tapes in Rehab, which, fine. A new girl who walked in who looked like a rich, snotty Beverly Hills brat. She had the $500 haircut, the designer clothes. I figured we'd never get along and she'd hate the idea of some country girl being her granny. She looked around the room and down at the tape player. Can I borrow this Tanya Tucker tape, she asked. Country music must be the greatest icebreaker in the world. I looked at my girls and shook my head, mouthing a silent no. So we didn't break up who I was. And since I didn't have stage makeup or costumes on around the center, it took her several days to realize it was me. It was in those few days I saw what I'd mistaken for arrogance and spoiled rich was really fear and insecurity. In so many ways, knowing her and some of the other wealthy women made me thankful that I had to work when I was a kid. I've always said that. I'd rather work because what if somebody yanks the money out? Then what are you going to do? DoorDash? Uber Eats? I don't even know where I'm going when I'm driving somewhere I'm supposed to know where I'm going. I can't imagine having to deliver shit. The people would never get it. Even with GPS. No, just not good at that. At least I knew what the world was like, and the tougher it gets, the tougher you better be. When I was packing up to go, a new girl came over and sat down beside me. All she said was, I know who you are, and I just wanted to say I love your music, and I like you too. I liked her too. On March 11th, about a week before my release, the counselors called me into the office and had me sit down. Oh no. I don't know what I expected, but it wasn't this. Andy Gibb is dead. What? Wow. No one prepared me for the news. There was no, we have some bad news about a friend of yours. She's right. That would be a nice start. You don't just go, hey, so-and-so's dead. These don't sound like very nice counselors. They just dropped it like a bomb and then added that drugs has ruined his heart. Inside, I was shaking and getting sick to my stomach. I know they were trying to break me down, thinking that maybe if I broke down over Andy, I might pour my guts out to them. I was sitting there, but I was also in a very far away place, watching to see if Tanya Tucker was going to fall apart, so I didn't do it. I just said, are you through with me? And stood up. Then I went back to my room and felt like shit. Barry Gibb later told me that Andy had been trying to get a hold of me, but Barry didn't know why. I flunked step 12 at Betty Ford. She made it through 11. I don't even know what the 12th step is. I was told to report to the office of one of the women counselors the day before I checked out. Step 12 is the final portion of your treatment, she explained. I want you to think about this carefully and confess the worst sin you've ever committed. It's very important that you be honest. Well, what the fuck is this? What is it, a Catholic Church confession? I don't get why. I know tons of people have been through rehab. I didn't hear things like this. I couldn't believe it. Oh, look, this is where I'm way too much like Tanya. Sometimes it's horrifyingly similar. Well, it's fun, though. I couldn't believe it. I thought priests were the only ones who heard confessions. Exactly what I just said. And I hadn't read that. And to be honest, I couldn't even think of the worst sin I committed, so I made up some little a jive sin. I'm going to start, I don't go to confession anymore, but if I'm on my deathbed, they're going to go, what have you done? I'm going to go, some jive sins. I don't even know, what does that mean? Jive sin. I know there's, what is it, venial and corporal? No, those are works of mercy. Corporal sins. Some sins are worse. Come on, older people. Older termites? My parents would know all this. Like murder is worse than stealing Snickers, but they have words for them in the Catholic religion. I don't remember. Instead of raging on me about it, she told me about a line of beauty and health products she sold and asked me if I wanted to buy some. See how quickly she got out of confession? This lady's a whore too. She's trying to sell the rich country singer girl some bullshit. Or if I had any entertainer friends who did. I guess she had to sell me on something, but it showed me that I've been right. Celebrity status changes everything, even at Betty Ford. Not only did I feel like the people were looking at me differently, they were hawking vitamins and lipstick. She's right. One of the things they do each night is gather counseling groups together around several bonfires. Well, I would love that because I am a pyro. I'm a total pyro. Self-admitted pyro. I mean, I don't act on it, but I would if I could get away with it. When we go out to the woods in Decaturville, Missouri, if you're from Decaturville, you're probably saying Missouri. Me and my daddy have been known to light some giant fires. Controlled, though. It seems leaving all your anger and hatred behind and starting fresh. I hadn't taken those bonfires any more seriously than anything else that was going on. I didn't throw my journal on the bonfire last night. I kept it and threw a cigarette lighter in the fire instead. I didn't mean to be respectful, but sometimes I felt like I had to do something just to stir things up. I like big entrances and big exits. The lighter exploded, of course, and now I realize that I hadn't changed much from the days when I was setting off firecrackers in Glenn Campbell's living room. Nope. All right, termites, this is so much fun. Really, my back hurts a little bit. Is that better if I sit up straight? Do I look less slouchy? More yoga posy? I'm running out of clothes. You're going to see I'm not running out of liquor. What's that tell you? Priorities straight. We already talked about that, but seriously, you're going to start seeing the same, because I really only have X amount of summer, lightweight. Somebody asked where these were from. I have two. I have orange and yellow and this one, and they were from Target, but they were like 3 seasons ago, so I don't think they're coming back around. It's Mosimo, the guy that's married to the lady, and they did the cheating for the kid to get into college. It's not real. It's Target Mosimo. But come on, these are like $20. Look how thin they are. Don't forget about my podcast, Madigan's Pubcast, because I don't read a book. I talk about other things, fun things, sometimes a little serious, but not mostly serious. And that's all I got for you, termites, tonight. So do you have a little summer sweatshirt? Sometimes I wear one of these to bed. Mostly I have it on right now because I don't have a bra on. That's the real reason. I haven't seen no reason to put on a bra until this is over. That's going to be me versus COVID. When COVID is done, I put on a bra again. Until then, no chance. Okay, termites, get yourself comfortable. Get yourself on the pillow. Tell yourself you're a good termite. Even if you do bad things, you're still a good termite. Just try to do less bad things. You're a worthy termite. And that's it. I'm going to put you down. Night, night, termites.